everyone. Glad to have everyone here. Today's topic is the Database Migration Workbench. It's a part of Enterprise Manager's toolset. With me today, we have some experts, Bharat Paliwal and Harish Nidagata. Myself, Tim Mooney. This webinar is part of the Enterprise Manager Deep Dive series. We have a number of webinars, number of workshops, so you can get your hands on these very tools in many cases. So if this is of interest, we'll be sending out a link. You can take a look at those other sessions as well. Harish, next slide. So what we'll be getting into today is some of the migration use cases. We'll go into the details of the Migration Workbench. We'll talk specifically about migrating to Oracle Cloud. And then actually, you guys are going to get a sneak peek. So you came at the right time. Harish is going to go into not only what's available in the Migration Workbench today, but he's going to give you some highlights on what you'll be seeing in the near future. So we'll go through those. You'll have a demo so you can see firsthand what these things look like. And we do have dedicated time at the end for Q&A. So this is a good time for me to stop and say, use that Q&A panel throughout. We've got some experts on the line to support all your questions. And this webinar really is for you. So take advantage of the opportunity to ask all the questions you have with your experts and get answers in real time. So take advantage of that. You know, we'd love to help. So use that Q&A panel throughout. Next slide. So just a little level set. We had a very big announcement in the last couple of months. Enterprise Manager 13.5 came out, and three primary pillars of that announcement. A lot of new free features around hybrid cloud management, managing on-prem, managing in the cloud, and managing both at the same time. So you can see where the Migration Workbench might fit in. Also, a number of new features around operations automation. So you can automate many of your database operation tasks. I know you've had that in the past. We've got some new enhancements there that came out. And then lastly, a big new open world, a lot of new features around extensibility. If you've always wanted to extend Enterprise Manager, you're going to see a lot of new features here. Open standard space, interoperability with third-party systems. So we're going to send a link about that as well. So you can refer to that if you want to dig in deeper on other topics, a part of the 13.5 series. Next slide, Harish. So today we're going to be focusing on managing the hybrid cloud. In particular, the fourth bullet, we're going to be talking about the Migration Workbench. So we announced it a few months ago. There's a number of features that are available today. And as I said, today's your lucky day. We're going to talk about a little bit of a sneak peek of features coming in the future. I'm going to have Harish dive into those things. So you'll learn some of the key benefits of leveraging the workbench, where it's applicable, and what are some of the targets you can migrate to, and so on. So with that, I want to turn it over to you. Do you want to pick it up from here, Harish?
Sure, Tim. Thank you so much. That's a perfect segue to talk about a database migration workbench. So let's get going. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on the location that you are in. To begin with, let's look at why you need to migrate. There are three different reasons to migrate. You want to migrate to Oracle Cloud, you want to migrate to Multitenant, or you're looking to re-platform your infrastructure. Let's look at your plans to migrate to Oracle Cloud. If you decide to migrate applications to cloud, you typically migrate its entire stack. And that's because over a period of time, you'd have done large number of fine tuning of databases to make sure your applications are running per your requirements. As a result of that, the dependencies between applications and databases increase multifold for you. So you may have a requirement to migrate to autonomous or database cloud service or Exadata cloud services. So you need a tool that helps you identify various database components to migrate to autonomous or any other Oracle cloud service. Second need is your intent to consolidate your single instance databases to pluggable. For a few years now, whether you're on 11.204 databases or 12c databases, you would have deployed thousands of single instance databases or rack databases across your data center. To leverage all the benefits of multi-tenant, be it the benefit of consolidation, be it the benefit of ease of management, or your own IT's decision to go pluggable route, you need to look at migrating all these single instance and rack databases to multi-tenant. It's as part of your journey to multi-tenant. And finally, if you're upgrading your infrastructure from legacy to new generation systems, or you intend to consolidate to new engineered systems. For years, you would have deployed and expanded your database ecosystem across multiple, say, for example, commodity servers, or you may be managing these databases on very old engineered systems. Now you're at a point, you're looking to refresh the infrastructure, whether you want to consolidate all these workloads on various commodity servers onto the new generation Exadata systems, or you're just refreshing to the new commodity servers. And you need to migrate your databases to the new infrastructure. And Database Migration Workbench enables you to seamlessly migrate your databases to the destination for any of these three scenarios. Primary goal of this workbench is to reduce the operating cost for migrating their databases and give you one tool with one unified experience for all kinds of migrations that you want to do. Migration Workbench is part of Enterprise Manager System Management tool. Enterprise Manager is a single tool for provisioning databases on private and public cloud. You can do complete lifecycle management of databases at scale, including grid infrastructure. You can patch all types of database targets at scale. You can secure the configuration of databases and hosts, monitor for any vulnerabilities. You can now, with Migration Workbench, you can migrate databases within a data center or from data center to cloud. And the fact that Enterprise Manager has integration with cloud, you can use Enterprise Manager to manage cloud targets also. Essentially, you have one tool doing many things for you for both on-premise and cloud assets. Now let's look at Migration Workbench in more detail. Migrating databases using Migration Workbench is a simple, intuitive process that will guide you through setting up and moving your on-premise databases to autonomous or to new on-premise destination or to ExaCC or DBCS. There are tangible benefits in using Workbench. One, it simplifies migration of all on-premise databases to various destinations with one unified guided workflow. It expedites the migration process by automating end-to-end workflow. It reduces downtime by providing the real-time progress monitoring of the migration. It also gives you an insight into time left to complete the migration. And finally, it improves the accuracy of migrations by providing an automatic comparison of performance before and after migration. With this workbench, you can migrate databases from 11 to 04 onwards, be it single instance database, RAG, or multi-tenant. And if you have 12C, 18C, or 19C, it supports all of those database versions. You can migrate to various destinations, on-premise to on-premise, commodity hardware to Exadata clouded customer, to Exadata cloud service, and to autonomous. All this can be done with various migration methods like data pump, transportable tablespace, plug unplug for pluggable databases, and via standby on various platforms, whether it's Windows, Linux, Solaris, or AIX. The key goal, as I said earlier, for us is to give you a tool with unified experience to migrate across any of these targets that you see in this matrix here. We give you the flexibility to choose the migration option you desire to migrate your databases. Now that you know the benefits of Migration Workbench and also various destinations and the migration methods that are supported, let's look at the workbench itself in a little more detail. The workflow that you see here depicts a typical end-to-end process. For simplicity, you can conclude that the dark green box indicates the required steps you need to take to migrate a database. You essentially create a migration plan. You can schedule to migrate at a future date, or you can initiate the migration now. You can view the migration progress. You can analyze the data transfer. You can compare the performance pre-migration and post-migration. And the light green boxes indicates optional customization that you can do for migrating a database. For example, you can add pre or post scripts as part of the customization for migrating. You can look at this entire migration workflow in 3 simple intuitive steps: plan, migrate, analyze post-migration. Dwelling a little bit deeper into the plan phase, the guided wizard provides a unified migration experience for all types of migrations. With this, you can do consolidation estimation, you can do dependency analysis, and with built-in schema advisor, you can analyze database before migration so that you can estimate the size of the destination database based on the workload in the source database. With EM's orchestration engine, you can customize, you can schedule, you can pause, or you can resume migration at any time. You can monitor the progress, and you can receive notifications on status change. If at all, for some reason, during migration process, you encounter some intermittent issue, you can pause the migration and you can resume after correcting the issue. You can leverage REST APIs to automate end-to-end migration, and also if you are looking to integrate with third-party tools, these APIs will come into play. And in the final step, you can analyze for desired performance. You will essentially get an insight into objects that need attention and objects that have successfully migrated. The performance analysis gives you insight into performance comparison before and after migration using the proven technologies like SQL Performance Analyzer. So these are 3 simple intuitive steps that you will have to follow to migrate your databases from source to new destinations. So let's look at each of these in a little more detail. The step 1 is plan. We call it plan phase. This is where you use the workbench, which happens to be a one-stop dashboard for creating a migration plan. As part of the creation process, you can customize any migrations. You can track the progress. You as a administrator, you will have an ability to act while the migration is in works. You can do things like, as I said earlier, pause the migration activity, roll back, or even cancel the entire workflow. This dashboard also gives you a summary of existing migrations. That summary could be summary of successful migrations, failed migrations, or scheduled migrations. And you can maintain, and you can see the historical data to diagnose or track migrations for the last 7 days, for example. You can include pre and post custom scripts that gets executed as part of the migration. Continuing, once a plan is in place, rather as part of the plan, it runs, there's an existing inbuilt schema advisor that gives you summary status that includes objects that cannot be migrated due to certain restrictions or lockdowns. Some database options in the source database may not be applicable to the destination database. You will get insight into that. The summary also calls out objects that will migrate with certain corrective actions. In addition, it will also list out automated corrective actions for you to act on. The schema advisor report screenshot that you're seeing here clearly groups the objects based on its findings, whether objects cannot be migrated or migrated with changes. Now that the plan is in place, you are ready to migrate. That's the step 2, which we call it as migrate phase. And with Workbench, as I said earlier, you get support for varieties of destinations and migration methods. For example, you can migrate a 12C database to autonomous by leveraging data pump migration method, or you can use TTS migration method for migrating to a new on-premise pluggable database. If you are using data pump, data pump essentially provides an export and import mechanism for moving data and metadata from one database to the other. So you're essentially exporting items like table data, database objects or metadata, and control information to a file, which is then loaded into the destination database as part of the import workflow. Data pump supports 2 modes, full database mode and schema mode. In full database mode, the entire content of the source database is moved to the file dump and loaded into the target database. In the schema mode, only objects owned by the specified schema are moved to the file dump and later loaded into the target database. There are multiple choices for you to migrate your databases. If you want to go the UI route, you can do that. Or if you want to use CLI, that's available. If you want to leverage REST APIs for automation needs, that's available too. All features in Migration Workbench can be accessed by REST APIs for any integration with your third-party tools. Also, the Workbench UI will help you create and enable you to copy a pre-filled JSON file to integrate with any of your third-party tools that you're looking to integrate with. Now that the migration is migrate phase is done and the migration is done, you're at the stage where you need to analyze the migrated database. From the Workbench itself, you can do step-by-step analysis of the migration. You can drill down at the object level. You can identify and review those that have failed and that have objects that have passed. And for the failed objects, you can get more insights and the reasons for the failure. You can review the completed migrations to verify any errors or warnings. If you are satisfied with all the migration results, as a final step, you can also mark migration as complete. One of the key requirements for you as an end user is to ensure the migrated database at a minimum is as performant as it was while on the source platform. You don't want to end up with a performance degraded database once it's migrated. So typical steps are you run SQL Performance Analyzer on source, capture the performance info, you migrate the database, run SQL Performance Analyzer on the migrated database, and analyze the performance. All these are done automatically within Workbench. There is no need for you to put in any manual intervention during the migration process. SQL Performance Analyzer can review and help correct any SQL performance issues. Workbench provides a report that shows the net impact on the workload performance due to the change. When we do this performance comparison, we factor in multiple things like elapsed time to run a SQL statement, CPU time spent to run a SQL statement, and etc. And various other parameters are also factored in while doing a performance comparison on both source and the migrated database. For any regressed SQL statements, SPA also provides relevant steps to run along with tuning recommendations. So as a result, for you, you can remedy any negative outcome before the end users are affected with that. You can also automate the SPA report analysis by using our out-of-the-box REST APIs. Continuing on the analysis, SPA automatically collects SQL statements from the database cache and create a set of SQL queries called STS, SQL tuning set. There are two options available for you to do this performance comparison with Workbench. You could either use production-based comparison or DevOps grade performance comparison. With DevOps grade performance comparison, which is out-of-the-box solution, you don't need to do any preparation. If you have an AWR report, you build out STS on the fly. You can choose the number of days for which statements from AWR report should be considered to build the STS. By default, we collect for the last 7 days. So when this option is selected, Database Migration Workbench scans AWR reports for top SQL statements for each day and builds unique STS. And this method is fairly simple and it's quick and can be used for migrations involving databases for dev test purposes. Alternatively, there is production grade performance comparison. In this case, you as a administrator, you have to enable SQL Performance Analyzer to collect SQL statements from the database cache on an ongoing basis. This allows the SPA to record each statement and related performance parameters. If the same SQL statements, for example, is run again and again, we don't collect the SQL statements again, right? I mean, it's already there. Only the performance metrics for the SQL statements are updated. This method is ideal or best suited for production workloads to accurately build out a STS. STS built using this method accurately represents your SQL statements with very high workload. And the Workbench allows users to select the best STS created by this process. So once that is in place, depending on your requirements, you could choose the options for comparison, and then you can do the performance comparison of a migrated database. So these are essentially the 3 steps to migrate your workload to a new destination. With Workbench, you plan the workloads to be migrated with unified guided visit, migrate the workloads to the new destination, pause, resume, monitor the migration process, and finally do performance analysis to make sure migrated databases are performant. Now, let's look at two use cases to see how these three steps are applied for database migration. First one is migrating on-premises database to cloud. Workbench today supports migration from on-premise to autonomous. It's something that we supported in the previous release. Using this, you as an administrator, you can choose the source database, you can choose the destination, you choose the migration method. And data pump for migrating to autonomous, data pump is the migration method supported. And once the migration process is initiated, as I was articulating in the previous slides, you can monitor the progress. Post-migration, you run Spark to do performance analysis, all in one user interface as the screenshot here depicts. Workbench also supports migrating to new destinations. So let's look at some of those. You can migrate on-premises to on-premises now. You can migrate on-premises to ExaCC, ExaCS, and also on-premises to database cloud service, both bare metal and virtual machine. You can migrate single instance and pluggable databases to the destination of your choice using UI, CLI, and REST API. Today, if you look at your ecosystem, most of you are looking to migrate your existing single instance databases, whether it's 11, 11.2 or 12C or 18C databases that are in play today. You're looking to migrate those to multi-tenant, 19C multi-tenant in an on-premise environment. So there are three different methods to migrate a non-CDB to a PDB in on-premise to on-premise. Those are data pump, transportable table space, unplug, and plug. So just as an example, let's look at a couple of these. So if you're using data pump as the migration method, which is essentially export and import for logical migration of non-CDB to PDB, there is support for databases from 11.204 onwards. You can choose to migrate only schemas or full database. It supports different character set compatibility. And usually, data pump is a migration method that we recommend to use for if your database sizes are small. And you should be able to do the logical migration of non-CDB to PDB. Another method is to use transportable table space with incremental RMAN backups to minimize the downtime. This is widely used to migrate in phased manner. Again, Workbench supports databases 11.204 onwards. It supports cross-platform migrations, supports compatible character sets with minimal downtime. You can choose to migrate only the table space, or you can choose to migrate the entire database. And TTS method is recommended for databases of large sizes. To wrap, let's summarize the benefits of using the Workbench. Database migration Workbench is one-stop place, one end-to-end tool that enables you to migrate your databases. You select your source database or even schema that you want to migrate. You analyze before migration with unified guided Workbench, choose the destination target, customize the report, customize the source database, and include pre and post custom scripts if required. Do performance comparison before migration. do performance comparison after migration using SPA, and to make sure that it is performant as expected, and at the least it is comparable to the source. And finally, you can migrate to various destinations. All of these things can be done with one tool using UI or CLI or REST APIs. That's a quick look into the Migration Workbench. Now it's demo time. So what we want to do in this demo is we'll show you a workflow where you are migrating a source, single instance source database to a brand new pluggable database. The workflow that you will see here is exactly the same for any migration target that you want to choose, whether it's a cloud or any other on-premise targets. Okay, so here you go with the demo.
Hello everyone. Today, let us go through a demo of the Database Migration Workbench using Enterprise Manager Cloud Control 13C Release 5. To get started, let us log in. We can access the Migration Workbench from the Enterprise Migration and Consolidation menu. This brings up the Activities page of the Workbench. From this page, we can initiate a migration of our on-premises databases to Oracle Cloud, that is Autonomous Database, DBCS systems, ExaCC or ExaCS. We can also migrate databases as pluggable databases to Exadata or other commodity hardware on-premises. For today's demo, we will migrate an 18C database to a 19C pluggable database on-premises. We can choose to migrate the full database or selected schemas. We will migrate the full database. We select the source, the DB18C database. This is sales database is our 18C database. We then select the destination. Here we can either choose to migrate to a pre-existing pluggable database or create a new pluggable database. For existing database, we can search by target type, target name, or even by target properties such as department, location, etc. For this demo, we will create a new pluggable database using an existing container database. We enter the PDB details. Note that we also specify the data pump directory name and data pump directory path so that the directory object is created as part of the PDB creation process itself. For efficiency purposes, it is desirable to choose a directory that is shared with the source database host. This will avoid a step to copy over the data dump files from the source to destination. Next, we enter the mandatory inputs such as the source and destination credentials. We can choose to compare performance after migration. We choose the data pump directory here. The destination is defaulted from our previous inputs. For security reasons, the data dumps will be encrypted. Hence, we provide the encryption password to encrypt and decrypt the data in the export-import process. Next, we can customize the migration process. The Migration Workbench defaults the options based on the source, destination, and method of migration. In this case, data pump. As you can see, it has defaulted the contents, what to exclude, encryption options, etc. We can choose to migrate the databases in two steps, metadata only followed by data, or we can perform the entire process as a single step. Today, we will use the single step. The Migration Workbench implicitly adds options such as dump file format, file size, job name, log file name pattern, etc. The procedure activity details exposes this list to the user for diagnostic purposes. Power users can also add additional export-import options if they so desire. In order to compare performance, we can create a new SQL tuning set from AWR. By default, it uses the last 7 days of AWR data, and this number of days can be customized, or we can choose an existing STS. We can choose to run custom script before and or after migration. As mentioned earlier, we will use a shared location to avoid an additional file transfer from source to destination. Let us review the inputs provided so far. Looks all good. So submit. We can choose to schedule it for a later date or time, but we will go with an immediate option for today. The migration activity is successfully submitted. We can view the JSON that will be used for this process and even copy it for future use. For example, if we had chosen the two-step method, that is metadata only first, followed by data, we could simply fine-tune this JSON, change the content to data only, and trigger the data migration from the REST API or EMCLI after ensuring the metadata export import was successful. This would reduce the chance of user errors while going through the wizard for a second time. Similarly, let's suppose we had multiple other databases of a similar type. Then we could use this JSON, fine-tune it as appropriate, and schedule the migration activities from the REST APIs or EMCLI en masse. Now let's go back to the activities page. Now the activities page starts showing this submitted migration activity. It summarizes the migration activities up on top along with its status, and the detail shows the list of activities. From this list, we can now view the procedure details along with detailed output from the utilities. We can analyze the process, that is, view the detailed report of validations performed, as well as detailed report on export and import issues. The validation tab details all the checks that were performed prior to starting the migration. These are deep validations performed at the source and destination to ensure access, storage permissions, and availability, correctness of the export-import options. Recall that power users can add additional export-import options which don't get validated during the UI, but they will get validated as part of this process. The Migration Workbench ingests the data pump logs and data from its master table and renders the same in an easy-to-view format for the user. In this case, we see that export was 100% successful, but there seem to be some few issues in the import. The detail shows that it encountered issues due to some existing table spaces such as undo table space and temp space, table space. We can sign off on the same for now, not an issue. Finally, we can also review the SPA report and compare the performance of the newly created PDB with that of the source. As you can see, the Migration Workbench allows you to analyze the database migration from different dimensions, such as the process details itself, deep validations, data transfer analysis, and performance analysis. With this, I come to the end of today's demo. I hope this showcases the ease with which you can migrate databases without compromising on the critical tasks required for performing a successful migration. Thank you very much for watching this demo. Goodbye.
Great. Thank you, Bharat. Great demo. And Harish, thanks for getting us going and getting into the details of the Migration Workbench. So this is the time we promised for everybody. We're dedicating this time to answer your questions. I've got a few links on here you can use as resources. The first one is our documentation for database lifecycle management. In there, you can go to the database migration section. Again, this workshop is a part of our deep dive series. Many of these webcasts have workshops that go along with them. And you can find more of those at the link there. I think we're going to pop these into your chat, so pay attention there. Also, we heard in the Q&A, where can I get copies of the slides, a replay of this session? And you're showing me some links here, but how do I get access to those? We do have a blog, blogs.oracle.com/manageability. In there, look up this webinar and you will find, as soon as I get it done, you'll find a replay for this session. You'll find a copy of the slides. You'll find all these links that we're sharing. So I'll have that done in the next day or two. So the blogs, we have a lot of blogs there. So just look up anything you're interested in. You'll find some technical detail there as well. We do have a demonstration of using the Migration Workbench to Autonomous Database on YouTube. That link will also be shared with you. And lastly, product information can be found at oracle.com/enterprise-manager and go to the database ops automation section. You'll see it in the product section. So I'm going to take a breath there for a second. Any of our panelists want to comment here? This is a great time. Continue asking your questions to our audience. We're going to keep answering those in the Q&A panel. Anybody on our panel that has any comments they want to share?
Well, Tim, I think obviously we have a lot of our customers who are doing database consolidations and migrations. And while certainly, DBAs could, do those activities manually, when you've got a lot of databases, it's pretty easy for, DBAs to, make mistakes. And so, the other, I think, use case for the Migration Workbench is a safety net. Yeah. And also, if you were a newer DBA and you're not as experienced with the process, this is also a great way to, learn that. You can start with, the graphical user interface and then move to the CLI as you get more experience. So, there's a variety of ways to be looking at, the Migration Workbench as a solution.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, just to add to that, in any of the conversations I've had with customers when they talk about the cloud, if I can be blunt, the absolute last thing anybody moves is their databases. And there's good reason. Obviously, oftentimes that's the crown jewels, and we want to take care of those things. And a lot of that means, don't touch it. This Migration Workbench enables you to reduce a lot of that risk. It helps you understand, it actually helps you leverage Oracle expertise to move from where you are into the cloud while monitoring the progression and also validating the results and really cutting down on the risks of anything happen. And we did see in Q&A, there's always questions about security, and all of those things have been taken into consideration. There's encryption and so on that's built into the Migration Workbench. So it's a great tool. It's very timely for those of you that are looking at migrating to the cloud. As Steve said, it enables DBAs to automate, which solves problems like, you know, for someone new in the field, you can leverage Oracle expertise to make it happen. And for those that are experts, it really helps you scale. So all of these are built into the Migration Workbench.
I think, Tim, the other piece that's very important, and being a DBA myself, is folks sometimes get in a little bit of a hurry. And so you certainly need to do a number of pre-checks before you actually migrate your databases, and you need to do a number of post-checks. And again, the Migration Workbench is helping incorporate that in its workflow.
Yeah.
If you're doing things again manually, often some of those steps get skipped, and then later lead to, you know, disastrous issues.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way myself.
Very good. All right. Yeah. Great point, Steve. It is. I mean, when you even, you know, the very first step of trying to decide which databases you want to migrate, there's some evaluation. Are they ready to migrate? And the Migration Workbench gives you readiness reports and also has built-in capabilities to do the repairs or adjustments that need to be done before migration can happen.
Yeah, I can only echo what Steve and Tim are saying. I mean, most of our customers today are at an intersection where they are looking to migrate their older versions of the databases to 19C pluggables, multi-tenant, and also many of our customers are looking to re-platform their infrastructure to either engineered systems or to refreshing their existing hardware. So Migration Workbench UI gives you that you know, ease of use mechanism workflow for you to migrate and take away all the potential human errors, time-consuming tasks, and so that the administrators can focus on other things while Migration Workbench does these migrations in a seamless manner.
Great, good point, Harish. Yeah, so we are getting a number of questions. Keep those up. I think, you know, this is a great opportunity again. You've got some of the best at Oracle answering your questions, and we will answer them on the spot if at all possible. And if they require a deeper conversation, don't hesitate to pop those in the Q&A as well. And in some cases, we will take the conversation offline with you individually. Steve, any other thoughts?
Well, we've got a number of resources that we've gone ahead and put into the chat panel. As you mentioned, Tim, there's the documentation that goes into more detail about the capabilities. So we most certainly recommend that. We also have had a question, you know, related to licensing, and so we've got information about getting more information about that. There is also overall for Enterprise Manager a workshop that's out there, and so we've included a link for that. And then for those not as familiar with the launch of 13.5 itself and all of the capabilities, we've also posted links to those resources as well. So we're hoping that those provide a lot of value and, you know, opportunities for you to actually try it out. And it goes without saying, with the new image that's out in the cloud marketplace, customers no longer have to stand up a new release, i.e. find the hardware and storage and spend the time doing it on premise. You can try out a new release in the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. So we always recommend checking that out as well.
Great point. Yeah, good. I forgot to highlight that. We do. You can take advantage of the latest release of Enterprise Manager on Oracle Cloud. It's already configured and ready to go on the Oracle Cloud Marketplace, as Steve mentioned. The other thing I wanted to reiterate, we talked about it before. Harish gave you a sneak peek of some of these features that are in the near future. So we will, you'll see more about that if you follow that blog that I mentioned, blogs.oracle.com/manageability. You'll probably see some blogs from, either me, Steve, or Harish when these features come out and highlighting some of the details there. Same thing is true on the documentation page. You'll see those get refreshed the minute these new features are available as well.
Hey, Harish, as we were talking about the marketplace, I mentioned just, using it to check out Enterprise Manager, but we've got a question related to, use of the marketplace for production deployments. Do you want to maybe talk just a little bit about kind of, best practices?
Use of the EM image in the marketplace.
Yeah, so for someone that may want to, decide to use it to actually do deployments versus just, checking out a release, I think is what the question is related to.
Okay. Probably we'll have to get back, Steve, but
this is good. I can address. I suspect the question is the EM marketplace can be deployed and used as a full production release. So you get the option, right? If you're, as you mentioned, Steve, using it for testing to look at new features because you have a big EM deployment and you're not ready to upgrade yet, you could go see some of the 13.5 features without having to procure hardware and all that stuff, right? The other option is if you do want to use it as a production, it supports all the 3 levels of HA and all kinds of other things. So we could post a link to the blog that explains this in more detail, but it supports both those models.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Dave.
And there's another related question, Tim. Apparently it's a popular topic is, if somebody's going to go, check it out, is there kind of a pay per use model? And again, we've got a trial program for using the Oracle Cloud. So you have the capability to go out and try Oracle services using a variety of options. So that is another thing folks can take a look at.
Great. And just to elaborate on what Dave was saying about our marketplace, it is designed and built with a number of configurations depending on your needs. So you can stand up an instance, which is available to just see the features, but we also have instances that fully represent our best practices that you'll see in the maximum availability architecture. It's ready to go whatever level of production you are looking at. So it is definitely worth investigating for those capabilities. And like Steve said, it allows you to get there without the time and expense of getting new hardware in place, getting it configured, getting all the network set up, and so on. So it really speeds a new deployment. All right, we're getting a lot of activity on the Q&A, so I know our experts are busy there. We will keep answering those questions. We still have some time left till the top of the hour, so yeah, keep putting your thoughts and questions in the panel down below. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through. We're getting a lot of detailed questions, which is great.
Yeah, at this point, Tim, what I would probably recommend is we've got some folks who are obviously finding value within the solution. And so they're starting to, as you mentioned, get very detailed. So at this time, if you've got a general question, we've got a variety of folks on to help you with that. Again, we've provided a number of links in the chat window. But Tim, why don't at this point, we move towards a wrap up. And again, for those more detailed questions, we'll see how many more we can get answered with the panel we currently have.
Okay, I am going to give people a chance to do a roundtable. We have a number of folks on the panel. I know you've been busy answering questions. Is there anything you want to step back and share with the audience? All right. Thank you very much to all our presenters. Bharat, thanks for the demo. Harish, great job on the slides. Steve and the rest of the panelists, thank you so much. And a special thank you to our audience. Really great participation. And as I said before, we are recording this session. We will have copies of the slides if you want to share with your colleagues. And those will all be available on blogs.oracle.com/manageability. And with that, I am going to call it a wrap. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.